You're watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
All right, good evening and a very, very, I know it's not Christmas yet, but silent night. It is the morning after my son's wedding, and when they say you're not supposed to mix drinks? Yeah, I know that now. But look, can I just say to all the non-Leicester supporting fans at the wedding yesterday...
The Premier League? That's so last season. It's all about the Championship here on LTID TV.
Now that's what I call football.
You hit the right spot.
And Lloyd, if you are watching, who was one of the best men... Liverpool won, Chelsea won. You can't even win a game, honestly. That's Liverpool, you're going to win nothing this season. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. How the devil are you? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, good night, good morning, hello, and all that rubbish. Welcome along. We're going to be looking, because I wasn't able to do a watch-along yesterday because I was getting extremely drunk. And I suppose if there's any way of saying how drunk you are by which clothes you lose afterwards, I lost my shoe, or most of it anyway, on the way home. My heel sort of is halfway between the pub and my home. But it was a good day, was Adby Hall. Welcome along. If you can't be watching on Twitter, because unfortunately there is a problem between StreamYard and Twitter, so it doesn't go live on Twitter at the moment. If you're welcome on Facebook, good evening. I will say this only once. If you're watching on Facebook, it does say in the instructions you can easily join in with StreamYard. All you got to do is click on the link. You don't have to download anything. There's no cost to it. If you can't be asked to do that, put your name at the end of what you're saying. And if you can't be asked to do that, we will ignore you. It is as simple as that. As you can see there, and if I'm not with it, I'm not with it. I don't care. My head's been all over the place today. I've spent most of the day on the toilet, so it was a good day yesterday. But that's where you can find us on all the different social media platforms. Tonight, as I say, we are going to be looking back at yesterday's game. 2 wins out of 2 in the league. 3 wins out of 3 all season. Of course, Brad, it's a piece of piss, this championship, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. Strolling in the park. It's easy. All we need now is to beat Cardiff and Ipswich draw or lose, and we'll be the only team undefeated with a 100% record going into it.
Yes.
Can't believe it. It's easy. Can we stay here, Chris? Can we win it and just choose to stay?
I know. I've not got this winning games. What the hell's going on?
I don't know. I had to check up the word in the dictionary because I forgot what it was all about.
It does remind me, and I am of a certain age here, you may find this hard to believe, to remember when we went down to League One. And we'd had years, if you remember, and I mean more than that. We had two bad seasons in the Premier League, and one of those was kind of offset by the Europa Conference. But before we went down to League One, we'd had about 3 or 4 really awful seasons when it was just like watching paint dry. And then to go down, and I think we only lost about 3 or 4 games that season in League One.
Yeah, we did. In fact, I think it came up on the Big Fat Leicester quiz. Just a little shameless plug there for you. You asked that question. I believe it was 4 games we lost.
If only you knew your own questions as good as
If
that.
only I did. If only I did. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I remember back then watching it, and it was like Craig Levein, and I remember my younger brother said that Leicester was so bad that they lost 0-0, which was hilarious because we were showing what would actually happen to Celtic and Rangers if they came to the Championship, because we were so Scottish, it was unreal back then. We had Craig Levein, didn't we, as a manager?
Sorry.
I know. I know you're suffering with your hangover. I don't want to make you that ill.
I'm feeling a little bit fragile anyway. Just
well,
don't say the O word, and I might get away with it.
Okay, well, there you go. I won't say it. Don't worry. But no, we weren't we? We were jumping up and down on that trapdoor back then. Not so much this case with the Premier League in an instant. It's a lot different in contrasting times because we had a lot of rebuild, didn't we? But again, as much as things change, the more they say the same. We had a clear out from the Championship. We got rid of a lot more deadwood than we've had to this season. We haven't really got rid of deadwood in a weird sense, have we? With the people we've
got. We have. For me,
yeah,
it's all about opinions. But for me, yes, because all those players that we let go, the 7 that those contracts were expiring, had we stayed up, how many of those would we have tried to convince to stay? Because we would not have let them go and be left so short at this stage if we were in the Premier League. I don't think we'd have gone into the Premier League relying on Ben Nelson on the subs bench or McAteer. So kind of, but it does remind me really so much of that season. But we'll say hello to Mike. Evening, Chris and all. Hope all is well. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Drop a like and share. You're on modding duties. Well done, Michael. Well done. He loves the power. Missed the last few shows. But no, I've said, after one game, you were crying into your boots, weren't you? You were crying. But a couple of good wins now, and I noticed you were happier the other day on your latest show. So well done, Mike. Not all doom and gloom. Good luck to you for the season and Newport County. Blue Fox, hi Chris and Room, looking great. Yeah, do not adjust your sets, folks. This is not the test card. It did just look very, very good on the hanger, but actually looks less appealing on me. I'm not.
You look like you're confused between being a Sheffield Wednesday fan and a referee.
You want to see the other one I've got with the hoops on? You wait till you baffle that.
Oh, for God's sake.
And I am just easing you in because I am going to be buying the Leicester City, although you could say it's a bit shitty, their training wear, which is reminiscent to the Arsenal away shirt from about the early 80s, I think, with the diamonds and the yellow and the blue on it.
Bloody hell. Yeah, that was going back. Is that a JVC sponsor?
You didn't see the game, did you? Because I know you had problems, so you wouldn't have seen the shirt. But it's super cool. Super cool.
Ah, good.
Good evening from Torquay, says hi, Fields. Thunder, Isaac is in. Good evening, Isaac. How are you? I wonder how inappropriate a drunk Chris was at the wedding. Tell you what, compared to my ex-wife, I was like a bloody angel, mate, I'll tell you. Nate, well, as far as I remember, I was. Evening, Chris. I had an absolutely brilliant time. I was one of the first to leave. I haven't been drinking in ages, and we started off at about about 1:30, I think we started, and I'd mixed my drinks by about 1:45. So
God, it took you 15 minutes to get the mix right. Really, hell, that's a slow pouring drink.
Well, starting with cider, a pint of cider, and it was. We'll go off topic here for a minute. But starting with a pint of cider because it was it was hot down here yesterday, and then I thought I better not have another cider in case I want to have a wee when I sit in the when I get inside. So I'll have a small. So I had a gin and tonic. Then we went to the wedding. Nobody told me that I was sat there for the whole time with me flies undone. But thankfully, the dark boxer shorts and the dark suit merged into one. I got up and managed to do my witness bit and sign the book and not trip over or do anything embarrassing. Then, of course, we got to the reception. Had another drink while we were waiting to go in there. I think that was a beer. So that was my third different drink. Then, of course, wine at the table. That was the fourth different drink. Then back on to gin and tonics, for which my children will be kicked out of my will for having this game where you have to drink it down in the count of 8 or something. And
Oh, that song. I know what they mean. Yeah.
yeah, 8. You can drink it until a later 8. I don't know. It goes there. If I'd known they were doing that, I would have drunk half of it on the way back from the bar. But that wasn't that clever. And then there's another gin and tonic and another glass of wine. So yes, it was all. But you know what is good for when you mix your drinks? Next day, good old McDonald's. You can't beat it.
Oh yeah, you can't beat McDonald's breakfast. Will never taste as good as it does when you've had a few too many.
Well, when you say breakfast,
well, maybe a Big Mac depends what time you wake up.
Exactly. And my God, did I have a case of the munchies. Mike says, you made a very strong start. We have indeed. I love a good drink. Well, you Welsh, mate. You really. It helps lubricate the throats for all you Welsh singers, doesn't it? But I say congratulations on your start.
I'm glad you said it lubricated his throat and not somewhere else. There'll be another accusation about sheep in there somewhere.
About Pat, I've got to tell you this. I'm sat across from the bride's mother. So on the way the tables are set out, I'm sat opposite her. There's 5 tables, we're obviously on the top one. I'm sat opposite her, and we're talking. And I've only met her once before, bless her. And somebody said about me doing the radio DJing in the mornings, and then it led on to me doing this show. She said, I think I heard you on the Bournemouth channel once.
Paddy!
Yes. Really? She said, yeah, you were talking about pubes.
That's why she only met you once before.
Yes. I said, my daughter sat next to me went, don't think I want to listen to this. And I said, of all the shows that you had to tune into, so I was probably passing the time waiting for Craig to answer. But look, my says, for fuck's sake. Before we get into the Leicester game, I know we have gone on. I'll bring us back at least onto football. I'm going to say two items of news that I appeal to my sense of humour. Harry Kane. Now, he has come out today and said Bayern Munich striker did not want to end his career with regrets. I want to ask you what he means is, in that headline, that he did not want to end his career with no trophies.
Yeah, but unfortunately...
Yes, exactly. One game in and what happens?
Well, you know what they say, Chris? You can take Kane out of Spurs, but you can't take Spurs out of the Kane. It's typical. It was a bad day for ex-players yesterday, wasn't it? Not particularly good one.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, like, he could have actually... I mean, how did they lose to Leipzig? But, I mean, he could have started his career off with one more trophy. But do you remember I did that show about who would be longer remembered, Jamie Vardy or Harry Kane? I think Vardy's got it nailed on. And Luke Thomas, as young as he is, has actually got 2 more trophies than Harry Kane. And Harry Kane's 30.
It's a hard life, isn't it? You wait till this season ends when Leicester come up with a league and cup double, and Kane's asking for a transfer back to England.
Yeah, he should have stuck at Leicester, shouldn't he? Think, talk about having regrets, Harry. That's the regret you have, not sticking with us when you had the chance and going back to Tottenham. Talking. I mean, this is what my tweet was. Kane moves to Bayern Munich. Kane loses out on a trophy. Still has less trophies than Vardy or Thomas. The world continues without change. You know,
it's very, very, very true. And also, other thing, Chris, that's very still that never changes is Yuri Tillemans plays for a club in the Midlands and doesn't fuck all game.
Well, yes. I don't think you can use the excuse that he only played, didn't play all the game, because neither did Barnes.
Yeah, and he may have got a goal and assist, didn't he? He came on. So
I believe he. Funny you should mention that because I hadn't noticed that at all. But
It's not,
yeah, Newcastle 5, Aston Villa 1. Was this the top club the top club in Europe that Tielemans said he wanted to go and pay for?
I believe it was, Chris. It's going to be so awkward for him when we pass him on that promotion bus and he's taking Villa tours to the Championship. He'll be ringing us back up for notes.
He will. He will. Well, can I just say that? And this isn't my scores. You know, the BBC. You can go on as fans and vote and give them points.
Yeah.
And we'll be having a look what Jordan gave our players later. But
Oh, there you go.
Barnes got an 8.36 off the Newcastle fans. Tielemans didn't.
No, let me have a guess. Did Tielemans get a 3.12? Or do you not know?
Almost. I wasn't going to mention this because I didn't really want to. It's embarrassing. But yeah, 3.65.
No, it's higher he deserves. Couldn't happen to a nicer bloke. I mean, if they do go down, at least we'll have this to say, won't it? At least we started with a 2-2 draw in our relegation. Didn't get from 5-1 at the start of the season, so...
Good evening or bad evening. Yuri, have fun, mate. Let's just get a few more comments. There's more to football than the Premier League. There is. Mike Green Vegas has got more trophies than Kane. I think Newport have got more trophies than Kane, haven't they?
I think Bury FC have been disbanded and reformed and got more trophies than Kane.
Barnes looked so exciting when he came on. I'll take your word for it, mate. Because last week, I'd made the mistake of finishing my show off and saying, having beaten Coventry, I'm really looking forward to watching Match of the Day tonight. And I sat there at 10 and put it on before I realised when all the things came up at the start, oops. But if you want to be able to watch Leicester, ITV4, which is Channel 26 on Freeview, 9 p.m, they go through the whole 3 lower divisions and repeated at 9 o'clock in the morning on the Sunday. Good evening to Stuart, who says Villa got spanked. I'm not laughing.
I am. It's hysterical. What's that saying? The grass about grass not being greener on the other side?
I know. Just gotta say this.
If this shit go down, I ain't going down with y'all.
Yeah, but you will be, Yuri. You will be. Let's have a look. Somebody else has commented, and then we'll go on. Oh, Michael's in. Good evening, Mike. How are you? Or David? I think it's David Gamble, if my memory serves me right. But he's another one like Jeff under a different name. And Big Ant's in. Grisenbrand was going to put my comment on Facebook, but with my picture, women's heads will be turning.
Yeah, away from the screen. We don't want his face up. Get him off this. Come on.
Oh, boom. You were owned there, Anthony. You were owned. And James said, glad he went. Indeed, he did. Okay, look, we've had a laugh at ex-players. It's not been a bad start, has it?
No, it's not. I mean, it'd be interesting to know when the last point a championship only had 2 teams on 100% after 2 games. I can't believe that. I mean, it shows you how strange a championship could be. But us and Ipswich are the only 2 teams with 100% winning records. Good start. And you know what? I said this to a few other people. The fact that we've managed to do this and we're probably in first or second gear, because we certainly haven't got full paces going. You know, we've got a few potential first teamers not ready yet to be picked or play. So the fact that we're doing it, you know, and getting 3 points out, 6 points out of a possible 6 is credit to it. And I think it's just what we needed, isn't it, Chris? It's something we wanted, but kind of feared because of how bad last season was.
Yes, I will just get rid of that banner, don't worry. Like we said before, we needed the win. We needed to win games, and we needed to have. Well, I mean, in fairness, when I'm not seen much of the game yesterday, only the highlights. But of the 2 games I saw, which was Burton and Coventry, the style of play is very similar to Brendan because we're playing out of the back. But we're playing with purpose. And yes, I know in that Coventry game, Vestergaard and Winks were playing, passy ball, to me, to you, to me, to you, to me, to you. But when they actually got around to playing that final ball, it was great. Now, I've got to say, a comment here that was actually on Twitter earlier from, I believe it was from Buffalo. Where are we here? Let me just try and
Is
find
he a soldier?
Nobody's a Super Bowl parade. Buffalo Super Bowl parade. People seem to really, really down on this game despite the win. I thought it was fine, especially given how early in the system it is. I think he means it's American, isn't it? I think he means the league. Great, no, but an ugly win. I didn't really think so, especially on the road. I mean, look, we've got to say, we are not going to win every game 5-6, 7-0. We play at times like Brazil. At times, like when we played Liverpool pre-season, it was great to watch for 20 minutes, but it's a different league. We're not going to be able to 1-0s. It's still only 3 points at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's 3 more points than some other teams have been getting recently. I mean, our opponents have now suffered 3 defeats in all competitions, so I know which end of the scale I'd rather be early doors. Considering most people probably looked at our early fixtures and thought about our potential clear-outs and the quality of players we'd be left with, etc., that ideally would have been 4 points would have been really good. So 6 points is absolutely brilliant. And the one thing you got to remember is I know I can understand why fans get a little bit frustrated when it's to me to you sort of football. But when you hear the commentators say they pass with a purpose, what Leicester did last season, which was so utterly wrong, is they tried to get the ball forward as quick as possible for the sake of getting the ball forward as quick as possible. I can tell you this, you don't need to know much about football to know you cannot pass it through 10 players behind the ball. Sometimes you have to keep the ball, be a bit annoying. Sorry, someone's trying to ring me and I can't get rid of it right there.
That's all right.
Give me a second. So it's my mum, so I don't want to be rude, but I have to send her a message. One of the messages.
While you're doing that, let me bring in. Well, who else could I bring in? I mean, there's some people know about football. Some people don't know about football.
Here is wise man from ancient times.
And there he is, as if by magic. Craig, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Chris. How you doing? Hi, Brad.
Hi, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
Looking very tan there, if I may say so. That's you, Craig, by the way. Sorry.
Well, it's the Great British.
I mean, look at Brad. Does Brad look tanned? I mean, come on. It looks like he's been washed in a 60-degree wash with Persil. But you look. I take it that was an enjoyable day yesterday. Was it?
Say that again, Chris.
Oh, God.
I mean, I'm guessing it was a lovely day in the sun yesterday. Was it?
It was. It wasn't too bad actually. It was quite warm. By the time, a bit of rain on the way up, but it was quite warm when it got up there. Wasn't too bad at all.
I mean, it's great to see. I mean, you were there. I didn't see the watch along. I've only seen highlights. 1-0. It seemed to be, from what we were just saying, Buffalo said. And I don't think we can expect to win 3, 4, 5 every week. I know we haven't yet, really. But you know what I mean? I mean, teams are going to make it hard for us. We knew, it's a Warnock team, so this was never going to be easy. But did we deserve the win? I know I've seen some Huddersfield channels saying, yeah, they were lucky.
I think we probably deserved just to sneak it. I don't think either team were that great. Both keepers probably made 3 or 4 saves each. I think, none of them particularly outstanding. I don't think there was any saves that of us could have made, to be honest. Or maybe you. But I think overall, I think we controlled the game. We controlled the pace of the game. But then I was quite surprised that not surprised that he got them organised, because Warnock had them organised very well, but he had them disciplined in terms of, like, they didn't just go gung ho and try and press and close down. They were quite organised in how they did it. Anytime the ball was played in from the back into the midfield, there was someone snapping at their ankles the whole time, which meant we spent a lot of time just playing it into midfield and then playing it straight back. They didn't give us much time on the ball at all. And I think this is something we're going to have to get used to, this sort of being patient and, you know, a lot of heart-stopping moments where you think we're going to get the ball nicked off us. And we didn't, you know, so fair play to the players and keeping their composure. But, you know, it's a matter of time, I think, when a better team will start picking us off a little bit. But then we probably need that to create more for football, because we struggled to break them down when they were sat in.
Yeah. I mean, Brad, it's great to be winning. And you said after the Coventry game, look, we've got that albatross off our back that, you know, we haven't won yet, and he hasn't won his first game yet. We've got that out of the way. We've got the first cup game out of the way. Do we need, and it's going to sound a bit Irish, but do we need to get that first loss out of the way?
Well, I mean, live the charm life. You'd love to go 46 games and never have to answer that question, but that will be the test, won't it? And I think in a weird way, I know it's only 3 games into the season, if you include the League Cup game in that. I think we're already past that point of it affecting us in a bad way, because I think you've got to start. You've got a bit of a comfort blanket with knowing you can crack teams open with a bit of patience. It's like Craig said, it was the point I was making before me dearest mother decided to try and interrupt the show, was that when we're doing that, we're still playing with a purpose, because you can't pass it through 10 players. You can't just run at them and hope to get through them. You've got to drag them out. You've got to be patient. And like Craig says, you've got to wait for it. So I think already we've kind of passed that nervous edge that if we lose, say, next week against Cardiff, it's going to have a long-term effect on the players. I think they've already sort of past that to it. And, you know, when that happens, we will see how he goes about it, how he reacts. Is he going to be one of the managers that when you lose a game 4 or 5, you lose position? I don't get that feeling. I think he's one of the managers that's made it very clear that there is no iron team. He's going to use all 25 or 30 members of this squad throughout the season. We already saw 4 changes, yesterday, notably Pratt and Iheanacho being rewarded with a start. So I don't think we're going to see any panic buttons hit when that defeat happens.
Yeah.
A couple of things to add, Chris, sorry. So obviously Pratt and Iheanacho got their start because we put them in the team on Thursday night. So, you know, he's obviously watching. 2 things.
Of course he is. He sends me every time. I have to send him a copy of the team afterwards.
Exactly. Couple of things, though. One, I think what we're seeing is a team that has the ability to grind a result out. And I don't think we had that under Brendan. So we are going to get games that are pretty tough, to be honest. And, you know, that was a tough one to see out. The last sort of 15 minutes, you know, you're getting plenty of time added on in these games as well. They were putting a lot of balls in our box, and for the most part, we dealt with them pretty well. Vestergaard won 2 or 3 really critical headers. Doyle was physical as well.
Just say that again. Sorry, Craig. I thought for a minute there you said Vestergaard won a couple of critical headers. Now
he did win a couple of critical headers. His positioning was very good, to be fair.
Yes.
His positioning was very good. Doyle was very physical, and he digs into the other players. He won't accept them. It was, you know, balling Mavididi out a couple of times for not tracking back and not covering his man. Wout Faes, for me, man of the match by a long shot. Just looked a class act in there. One thing I will say is the crowd are going to be critical to this as well, because there were a lot of rumblings in that crowd about how slow it was. And even I was a little bit. Sometimes you could see players making runs, and they were a little bit reluctant to play the ball over the top to them unless they knew they had nothing else. So I think he needs to find a balance of mixing it up a little bit. But there was a lot of rumblings in the crowd, so they need to make sure the crowd stay with them. And I think that's really important. Maresca came out and said it's important that the team stay patient, knowing that the chances will come. I think it's really important for the crowd to stay patient as well.
Yes, you've got to get. Are we though, Brad? Literally, like, I was joking about this because, like, with Leicester being in the Championship, I was getting ribbed like hell yesterday at the wedding. But I was going around saying, yeah, but we're the PSG of the Championship, and the Man City, of the second tier. Have we got to be careful that we keep our expectations in check?
Yeah, I think we do. I think the problem is if you could talk about any aspect of life in particular with this generation of football fans, and there's nothing against them. We're all raised differently over different things, but we're so impatient for everything to be here and now. I think one thing we've also got to remember, we're not always going to take 70 minutes to score the goal. There's going to come a game, and it might happen Saturday, where we'll score in 5 minutes. And I think they're just waiting for that because we have been accustomed, sadly, to over the last 18 months until the start of the season, to doing okay, keeping the ball reasonably well, but not taking our chances, and then being 1-0 down. And then we all knew what happened. Then we went 2-0 down, 3-0 down, absolutely capitulated. And I think I can understand the murmurings. I think they're more scarred memories of last season that's causing the murmurs. But honestly, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, what would you rather see? Would you rather see 2 people charging up the pitch, praying to run through 10 people and losing the ball and putting Huddersfield through on goal and having a massacre against us? Or would you rather see them take a little bit of time, not lose the ball, take the safer option and go and score from it? Because, like I said, it's not going to take 70 minutes every week for us to get a goal and get going. There's going to be more times than not we'll find ourselves in the front foot. And I reckon that's what we need now. We need to play Cardiff, go 1-0 up early, and watch why. And then understand when that happens, you see, Chris, I think fans will go, now I get why he has them playing patient football, because it pisses them off. It annoys them. We knacker them out. They're doing the running. We're still fresh-legged. And then we might go and win the game 2-3-0. And that's exactly what us as fans have to be, expecting. Be patient.
Yeah. Craig, sorry. Yeah. Craig,
yeah.
You, I forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah, last year, last seasons, we've been watching this slow, play out from the back, tippy-tappy, passing it around football under Brendan. We're now technically doing the same sort of style under Enzo. But do you notice a difference between the two managers' plans or ideas? I mean, although they have got playing the same style, if you like.
I think they are very similar, and as Brad was speaking now, I'm thinking, this is the same thing that we sort of, criticise Brendan for, this sort of slow play. But what I would say is that the players seem to know what they're being asked to do a lot more. I'm not sure there was a plan behind Brendan's, although the basic principle was the same: keep the ball and try and draw the players out, and then they'll create space. I think what you're seeing from Enzo's team is they know what to do when that space is created. You've got runners off. I mean, the chance that was created for Dennis Pratt, which he, clearly we've got if only Wilf was on that one, running through on the keeper. But but that football was exactly what I think Enzo wants to do. There was like 5 or 6 really crisp passes, first-time passes that created an overload where a man could make a run, and he was found by Ricardo's great through ball. That's what he's looking to do. So I think that's the main difference. There's more of a plan to what they're doing, and there's a bit more physicality to what they're doing as well. These were players who were as I say, digging in at the end. Harry Winks was complaining about a throw-in in the 93rd minute or whatever because they have that desire to see a game out. And you could see them. We spoke about it at the end of the game. I don't know. Did you see all of the feed, Brad?
I've seen the majority of highlights and whatnot and interviews.
I don't know if it cut off at the end, but all the team came out in front of the fans at the end, and it was the longest I remember the players standing there and soaking up the support of the fans. So there already seems to be quite a strong connection, which I think is going to be really, really important. And I think the one other thing I'd like to say is that I'm really pleased that we've got off to a fast start, because I think it's important. Once the transfer window closes, I think the other teams will be a little bit more settled. And if we can get 6-9 points ahead of them, I think that's really important. You've seen Leeds imploding, players refusing to travel, refusing to play. Jack Harrison on his way today, even though he's injured, but it looks like he's going to Everton. It was Everton, then Villa. Now it looks like it's Everton again.
Didn't he go to Elios once as well?
Yeah, he was. Middlesbrough have just sold their top scorer. Akpom is off to Ajax. Southampton have done exactly the opposite of what we did. We probably could have got 10, 20 million more for Maddison, but we moved them on early so we had the funds in that we could get the players in that Enzo wanted to work with. Southampton have been hanging on, trying to eke out an extra 5-10 million here for Lavia and for Ward-Prowse, and they're going to end up selling them and having a week left to get their players in.
Yeah.
So I think it was really important that we hit the ground running and got our players in early, got our manager in early, and made the most of it and got these extra points. And these extra points that we're getting now could be really important come the end of the season.
I want to ask you, as somebody who has been at the live matches, obviously myself and Brad haven't been to any, this extra time that they're adding on, I mean, I think it's great. I thought it was great at the World Cup. If I'm paying to watch something online, or if I'm paying to sit and buy a ticket, I'm paying for 90 minutes of football. Yeah. I mean, I think there was one Premier League game a couple of seasons ago that was literally the ball was in play for 40 minutes. Yeah. Now, I'm not paying to see some prima donna of a powder puff player do 10 turnovers and a flip. Because he got farted on as somebody ran past him. So I'm all, if it's 10 minutes, if it's 9 minutes, go for it. Hopefully it will cut it out. As somebody that's been in the crowd at all three games, how do you feel? I mean, are you thinking, I know, because some people actually don't even like it.
I mean, I do like it. I think whether it's the difference between Championship and Premier League, I'm not sure, but the game at the weekend against Huddersfield, I think we only had 1 minute in the first half added on and only 5 at the end of the game. So it's nothing out of the norm, really. What you're not seeing is a lot of play acting, people going down to make this time being added that it is in the Premier League. You see, every touch, they're on the floor. Plus, what's happening in the Premier League is they're having to add on time for the VAR. And having no VAR is fantastic. When the ball hits the net, it's a goal. That's it. There's none of this. Oh, hang on, there might be a VAR check or whatever. Look, we haven't been on the end of any yet where we thought, maybe it was offside or dodgy penalties or whatever. But purely from a fan's perspective, not having to take into account the fact that any challenge, there may be the ball's in the box and it gets cleared, but hang on a minute, there may be a handball check or something. It's like playing with freedom again and sort of actually enjoying football. So the time added on is one thing, but I'm actually loving no VAR.
Oh, you can actually celebrate. You look, the flag's up or down.
Exactly.
And you just get on with it. Let's have a look at the squad then. We'll come on to the 2 goalkeepers in a minute, because he addressed that in his conference. But I want to just go back to something that James said. I've thought this. I have been so impressed with this guy since he came. Harry Winks playing like the captain, setting an example. I mean, the other day when against Burton, I couldn't follow the match because I thought that can't be Harry Winks because he was up the other end of the pitch in the last move. Brad, I mean, it was Vardy. Now I can't remember who it was against Burton, but it's Ricardo. Possibly it was him for that as well. Would you? I mean, who would you go for as captain?
Well, there's numerous potential leaders in that squad. You're always inclined to go for someone who's not just experienced, but has probably been with the club a while. So you're inclined to look at the man that's in that picture there and say, well, maybe a future captain on to longevity, Kieran Dewsbury Hall. The problem is it's hard to judge because if you go on playing style, then Harry Winks is your captain. He marshals the midfield. He does his defensive duties astutely, and he's always there, creating space in that final third, and that's pivotal to the way we do things. Because you find if you watch our goals back, you'll find that we pass it around and move into space in a way that frees two players up. I mean, Mavadidi's goal, he found a way to get free because we went to one side, dragged them over one side, then quickly moved it to him on the left. And, I mean, the cross in for Kieran Dewsbury Hall's goal. But going off that, you'd say Winks, but it all depends what they do vocally. What's their football brain like? Is he able to do his job on the pitch and then point people in the right direction? Is he able to tell somebody to watch the left shoulder because he keep getting done on the left side, or it needs to step up a bit, or it needs to move the ball quicker? Is he able to do all of that? Because captain's a hard responsibility to do. It's why it's traditionally given to a centre-back, because in the nicest way, they're not really involved in the game a lot unless it's an attack on us, is there? They're normally just marshalling.
They were very involved last year. On the back.
Well, yeah, they were drowning in that. Yeah, unless they're really bad.
Which isn't like me at all. Craig,
yeah.
would you have Harry Winks?
I wouldn't be against Harry Winks. What I would say, I'd pick up on something Brad said there, is already this team has more leaders in it than any team under Brendan. Again, you don't sometimes pick it up on the TV because they're following the ball. Yesterday, for instance, Dewsbury Hall, Winks, Doyle, Ricardo, at least those four, probably more, had a part as players.
Wild Phase is one that's done it recently as well. I noticed in the club highlights.
They're all more demanding of their teammates, than they were. And I think that didn't happen last year because, everybody was just meandering around. They weren't demanding of each other. There's five that just named there. Thanks for reminding me about Foss, Brad, who were demanding more of their teammates. Ricardo went and had a word with Stolarczyk at one point because he'd played a dodgy pass. I think it was Winks and Doyle both had a go at Mavadidi. They're all there. There's more winners and leaders in that team already than there were last season and the season before. And that means it doesn't really matter who's got the official armband because you've got 4, 5, 6 captains out on the pitch.
What does them? I agree. What does a captain of a football team do? I mean, a captain of a cricket team. He
brings his own coin. He brings his dodgy coin. It's not the game.
You get the official football club coin. But no, in a cricket field, obviously the captain has a huge say because he's telling people where to go. So I agree. I mean, I was just looking desperately then to try and check my American football positions because do you think Winks? I'm going to get this wrong because I can't remember what you used to say. I'm going with quarterback, but I don't think it was. Have we found that position?
Tielemans was the quarterback. I think Winks is a little bit more mobile in terms of his position.
You used to say though. You used to say we needed somebody.
It was quarterback. It was always when I was talking. Yeah, always when I was talking about Tielemans, he was our quarterback. And obviously now he's moved to Villa. He's a sub.
He's more like a nickel, not a quarter.
Yeah.
True.
But I don't know. Yeah, Harry Winks could be a captain. Wout Faes could be a captain. I think Faes is going to be really, really important because I can see that centre half while Cody's out. I can see that centre half probably changing game to game and him being the constant. But he looked a class above everyone else yesterday, and I thought he did it the same at Burton as well. So it's good to see that we've got people who are demanding of each other and some winners. We look like we've got some winners.
Yes, I'm gonna ask this question now. Then I'll come to you with this one, Brad. You can't drop Stolchik, surely. 2 clean sheets. I'm guessing if Hermansen's fit, he's going to come straight back in.
The biggest problem is that is fantastic for our future. However, better with his feet, quicker out of his box. You need an understudy. You need a good understudy. And like, I've only heard what he said about Connor Cody in his press conference. I didn't know he talked about the goalkeeping positions, but I'm assuming at least one, if not 2, are going to move on because you don't need 5 goalkeepers. I've said that, but I know what you're saying and I get it. But you don't spend 5 million on a keeper playing for a game and then have to drop him, because had he been able to play, I don't think you read too much into his Burton performance. And from what I'm gathering, Craig, and I read match reports as well as watching highlights, he didn't. I think he had one diving punch clearance to make, but he wasn't really overall tested by Huddersfield. I know they missed an absolute sitter, but he dived across for it. Whether he'd have got there or it had been in vain, had it been on target, I don't know. But he didn't really have a lot to do. So I think he's had 2 saves to make in the 2 games. So, yeah, for me, it's great to have a very good understudy who's got a bit more experience under his belt. But you've got to be putting Mads back in goal for me. I just think it makes sense.
I agree. I think it's funny because I was just listening to some conversations on the radio over the weekend where people were talking about what's going on with goalkeepers, particularly at Arsenal. You know, with David Raya coming in, and you've already got Ramsdale there. And these were ex-players and managers, and they're all saying a manager has a number one. It's important that you have a number one. Brendan famously came out and said he had 2 number ones. You know, which if you add up is number 2, which pretty much is how we played. So I think Hermansen is his number 1, and I think he's integral. What he's found is there's another goalkeeper at the club who is confident enough to play out with his feet. Not as assured as Hermansen, but he was, you know. They're becoming extra centre halves almost. You know, they're playing almost a sweeper role, and they're starting attacks. It's important that they don't give it away. As I say, he did get me a little bit nervous a couple of times.
Do you think, Craig, that this is where Brendan got it wrong last season? That had he actually gone with all 5 of those in goal, we might have actually got more points. Although in fairness, he only had 4, so maybe that wouldn't have worked out. But that's on the official website today. It is actually stupid. I was talking to an Arsenal fan yesterday. He's going out with my daughter, so I have to speak to him. And he was saying that Ramsdale, towards the end of the season, wasn't actually as good as we remember him from the start. So maybe that's why Raya came in. Looking at that, we've said all season that Smithies is probably here for the season because he's going to be on peanuts. I'm getting a reverb from somebody.
I think it's.
Is it Craig or no? I think it's you, Craig.
Well, I'm not speaking, so I'm not sure what.
No, I can hear myself coming back on somebody's. Oh, it's gone now. No, I can still hear it. Hang on, let me just try something. There we go. If I mute you when I'm not talking to you, it is you, Craig.
I was going to say, because I was muted when it was still going on. So, Nah, Craig, it's you this time, not me.
No, 5 goalkeepers, 5. Look,
yeah.
We for me, Craig, and I'll unmute you when it's time to answer, but Smithies is here because he's cheap and he's going to be the extra really desperate goalkeeper if we need to bring somebody on. To me, Stolchuk looks very good, made some good saves yesterday. Yes, he made the error, but he made up for it. Manson's been brought in. He's got to be the number one. Everson and Ward to go. Is it? Are they not? No.
The old ones are the best.
Well, so your missus tells me.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
She's got a granddad complex. What can I say? I mean, Everson looks like, he's been linked with Crystal Palace, I think, as going over there as a number two. I would imagine they're going to be, or at least one of them's going to be on the move, to be honest. I saw Christensen today is being linked with a move. That's why he wasn't in the squad. I think anybody who wasn't in the squad yesterday, apart from the keepers, is probably being linked with a move. But I would imagine, I think Everson's got a little bit more credit in the bank because he played out the second half of the season, so people know what he can do. Whereas, whatever you think of Danny Ward, I don't think he was as bad as people made out, to be honest. But for his own career, he needs to be playing. So, if I was his agent, I would be pushing for a move.
Yeah. Mountain Man is coming all the way from Arizona. Good evening, sir. I hope you are well. Nice to see you. Look, Brad, I suppose Ward and Everson are the bankable ones. I love it. I mean, we've got a typical Leicestershire Live story here. The headline at the top is Mark Esker explains why Leicester City had only 2 sub-keepers. There's 5 players left out. And then he doesn't explain. He said it was his decision and that's all that matters. But you've got to look at the way that it was a bit of a weird decision because, even if a player wants to leave while he's at the club, stick him on the bench because you just don't know what's going to happen. It was a weird decision. I always think to have 2 goalkeepers. When you look at the players that weren't on the bench, and let me just go back and bring the graphic up there. When you look, there was a lot of names that we didn't see. You've got no Sutar on there, no Daka on there. You're not leaving them out just because they're on the subs bench. Just put them on the subs bench and only use them if you have to. If you're worried about them getting injured and we're going to sell them.
Yeah, that's true. That's saying though, isn't it, Chris? Is that there's no smoke without fire. Daka's been heavily linked with Everton. I mean, ninth striker's a charm, I guess, from Everton. If you're trying to buy from Leicester, they've tried every other striker and they've all said no. So why not go after Daka? I mean, my opinions on Daka. I'd like to see him become a success here, but if he does move on, he's not going to be one of them players that I'm like, oh no, we're letting such a talent go because we haven't been able to see what he's capable of doing, only in little small parts. But Sutar kind of got to stick up his arse, in my opinion, from everything I can gather. Christensen's absolutely rubbish. Absolutely rubbish, them things about him going because he's injured. He was injured. He pulled up with an injury in training. That's the reason he wasn't on the team. But, Leicestershire Live is about as lazy as a sloth. I mean, talk about needing to sack your media team and get a better job. Some of them can't even be asked to title it right. I'm
just going to cut in there, Brad, because Craig's only got 5 minutes of battery left.
Oh, no worries.
It looks like he's in the sauna, so he's not got anywhere to plug it in. But no, I want to ask you, Craig, Christensen on the way out, Vestergaard to get an extension?
I think so, unless his agent's pushing for a move and there's something lined up. I mean, he's clearly ahead of Sutar, and while Connor Cody's not there, I think he could play Doyle inside, I think, if he had to. But I think Vestergaard suits the way he wants to play, and I think he thinks that, if the plays, if we're having more control of the ball, then Vestergaard suits that. It's when we are under heavy pressure. But as I said, if balls are coming into the box, because it's usually the teams who are less technically gifted who are going to probably give us the hardest time, and they often tend to just put balls in the box, and he was dealing with those pretty well. I don't think he's a long-term one. I think he's what I read about Maresca in terms of where he wants to recruit still. I think one of the positions was still he wanted another centre-half. So while Vestergaard's in there now, I'm not sure he'll be there long-term once Maresca's got everybody in for his first choice.
And Mavididi, have we finally got a decent winger in?
I think time will tell. I think he's confident. You know, he was having a moan at a couple of players yesterday when they didn't give him the ball when he was in good positions. Took his goal. You know, he hit the target. You know, it wasn't the greatest goalkeeper, but he hit the target, and he's confident enough to keep having a go. Whereas we know his predecessor, if he didn't beat his first man in his first attempt, then he wouldn't bother again. So I think like all wingers, I think again you have to be patient. They're going to have some good games. They're going to have some stinkers. That means it's important to have a strong bench, and but I think that's definitely an area again that I think we need a little bit more strengthening on out wide.
Brilliant. I'm going to let you go because, like you say, your battery is going. Thanks so very much for coming in and chatting. If you're free on Monday at 7 and you want to come in for the debate show, which we'll probably be talking about this game as well, you'll be more than welcome. Cool. If not, have a good weekend, and I'm sure Brad will see you next Thursday.
Excellent. Lovely catching up
with you
again,
Craig, if not before.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So thanks to Craig there for popping in. We have an Arizona Massive going on. Mountain Man and Nate are having a loving, both being from Arizona. I think.
Lovely.
I think there's only one thing I can really play for them. If we can bring Leicester fans together, what more could we ask for? But no, big thank you to Craig for popping in. I mean, I've got to say, we're talking about we're wanting these extra players in, we're wanting that extra player. Ben Nelson, did he make it onto the bench yesterday? Yes, he did.
I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say, reading that sub bench for me is like that eye test. You got the Specsavers and you're like that. I can't see nothing.
No. I was padding for time while I just lifted my screen up on the other side here. I mean, Nelson is on the bench. We've got there's here we go. Marchal, we'll call him Marchal, can we? Because I can't pronounce his full name. We
got McAteer as well. Alves when he's fit. Baybrook.
Yeah. And should we? I mean, we shouldn't read too much into the fact that some players aren't playing, or in the squad every time, because it's a hell of a long season, and we've got to accept that, And also, we've got to think let's use these youngsters, because we're on about if we weren't in this league, we'd be wanting to loan them out to this league. So this is the perfect league to give them those breaks, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a perfect way to development. You don't need to be trying to ring round clubs on transfer day saying, do you want our player? Do you want this player? Because that's what managers do. I mean, if anyone wants to know how it is, that's exactly what a manager will do. He'll bail round some clubs in the division who he knows are looking for a player from a particular area and in a particular area, something to go, look, we've got a youngster, we want him to play first team football. We don't have to do that. This is the perfect division for Leicester to be in with their current squad. Because I'll put this question to people in the comments here. Would Casey McAteer and would Marcel and would any of these other youngsters that have come in and played, or especially maybe even some of the old names, would they have played any of the first two games if they were Premier League games? If we'd have been playing, with the greatest respect, just because it's Premier League here, if we'd have played Everton and Tottenham first two opening games of the season, would he have dared to have put Stoichek in goal? Would he have dared to have played Casey McAteer for 90 minutes against Everton? Would he have played Marcel, after his cup game? Would he have played him there? No, I don't think you would. And that's with the greatest respect to them, because they still need to develop. I think, I said this in the League One days, Chris, it was the best thing in the weirdest way to ever happen to Leicester, because for the rebuild, and the fact we got fresh blood, and we knew we had honest players that were fighting for the cause. It's kind of the same thing here, but it's the perfect thing to happen for our development because of the players we've got. And yeah, I think you're right, Chris. 1 or 2 more, maybe 3 or 4 will go. Do we necessarily need to bring one in more? I mean, we're waiting by all signs of things to dry, the I's and the I's to be dotted and the T's to be crossed on that Chelsea player. But that aside, I'm not really thinking, oh God, no, we need 3 or 4 more players. I think we need a handful, 1 or 2 to add to the strength, but we know we've got that depth and quality throughout to really hold us steady for the 50-odd games we're going to be playing this season.
Yeah. So a couple of, Aaron said here Martial wasn't good enough. Stuart says defo not. I mean, I don't know what you're expecting here, guys. I mean, do you expect us to go out and spend 20 million and 30 million and 40 million? And do we just shut the academy down? Do we not do we not bring these players through? Because, sorry, Brad, I just want to finish.
Go for it.
You say, well, these youngsters aren't good enough. How are they not going to be good enough unless they get the chance? Ian Acho, everybody said he was rubbish because he was only getting 10, 15 minutes here. Everybody's saying about Daka's rubbish, but he's only getting 10 and 15 minutes here and there. He put 4 past Moscow, so we know he's got it in him, but he's not been given the chance to show it. Now, if these players, if they're going to develop, would Thomas be as good as he... And I think Thomas is a good player, and I know people don't, because Leicester fans seem to hate on players, and I don't know why Leicester fans do that. They thought Chilwell was awful, yet he was England left-back. But, I'm sure they still cheered when he scored some of his good goals. But if these players can develop at the club, then that means that's giving them an advantage. We sent Harvey Barnes to Luton, didn't we? And then we also sent him to West Brom. It was Kieran Dewsbury Hall we sent to Luton. Barnes we sent to West Brom. So when they come back, they then got to reacclimatise to Leicester, where if they're breaking through into ours, they're already getting acclimatised to the players they're going to be playing with, and we have, we're not Manchester City, so I don't get this. Well, he's shit. We should go out and buy this player for 30 million. Well, you donate 30 million to the club, then we might be able to. It's opinions. But I saw Martial against Northampton, and he absolutely ran them ragged, I thought.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, I'll ask this question, and I'll see with the responses different. Okay, if I told you now, Marcel... because that's what we're going to call him here, aren't we, Chris?
Exactly.
Marcel and McAteer, right? Yeah. If I said to you now, this between now and the end of the season, and it's going to be 50 games, right? Because it's 46 league games. It's already going to be 48 because we've already had 1 cup game. We're into another one. So, and assuming we win that, 49 and 1 FA Cup game. So it's 50 games. If these two, throughout the season, play 20 games and progressively get better and better, because I will tell you this, McAteer had a shaky start against Coventry. He made some runs. He seemed a bit hesitant. He maybe held on to the ball a little bit. But as that game went on, I didn't judge him on his first 25, 30, 50 minutes. I judged him throughout the game, and he grew into a game. I would much rather us get promoted, right? And I'm just talking big hypothetical here. I would rather them play 20 games this season, get promoted, and then not have to go out and buy a player. Because look at teams that fail when they go up from the Championship. Now, I know Nottingham Forest, I hate saying this, are a rare example of this, this not being the case. But what would you rather do? Play them once, look at them and go, oh, well, you were shit for 70 minutes, so we're going to get 3 loanees in. And they still get us promoted, these loanees, but then they bugger off back to Chelsea, Man City, and don't ever come back to us. And then we're still going to replace them. No, because you're going to be sat there going, oh, well, we had youngsters on the bench. Why didn't we use them last season? We should have used them instead of these loanees that we're never going to sign for us. you can't win with some people, Chris, and you're never going to win. And
Well,
for
this,
me,
for example,
I'd rather see them play.
that Chelsea guy that we're going to be signing against Casadri, whatever he's called, we ain't going to buy him after a year if we loan him because he's too good for us. And we have to accept that. We ain't fucking Barcelona. We ain't, Real Madrid. These players, Chelsea want him. And we're thankfully Chelsea want to loan him to us rather than send him out to Italy or wherever he's from.
Yeah, he was going to Genoa as well. So again, what would I rather have? McAteer or 3 players that don't necessarily want, well, their agent doesn't necessarily want them going to Leicester, rather go to Italy, but he's only sending him to Leicester because the manager said so. No, I'd rather have 3 players that are already ours and developing with us.
Aaron says here, Marcello's look good against League One club, and then that's his standard. Well, like I'll come back and say, give us your 30 million and we'll go out and buy somebody.
How old is he as well?
Yeah.
How old is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, was he 19, 20? He's telling me he's a League One standard at the moment. I would take it.
All a player has is one opportunity to make an impact on their career. Look, if we apply that rule, Vardy would never have played for us.
And Harry Kane would have not won. No, he still hasn't won anything. But Harry Kane wouldn't have won any golden boots. That's what I meant to say, Chris.
What I mean is, let's be honest with you, he was that bad, Vardy. He was thinking about giving up and going to be a holiday rep in Ibiza. So I'm going to apply
DJ Vardy on the mic. Sorry, I can just see it.
I'm going to apply that, Aaron, to Jamie Vardy and say, well, yeah, he was given more than one chance. He was given he came from Fleetwood Town, and you're saying that he was when he came to us in the championship level. No, he was absolutely awful when he started, but he was developed. And when he came into that, when he actually got that breakthrough, he knew what to do. He knew the players he was playing with. So you've got to give the youngsters a chance. Not fill them with youngsters. Not fill them. And again, it's the same example for England. Do you never bring any youngsters through and you just keep the old players until they're about 50 still playing? It's about getting a mix. And that's what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a balance. I mean, you look at that squad, it's flux with balance. I think someone worked it out yesterday. It might have been Neil, from beyond the 90. And I think our average age is 26. I mean, look, this one here, Jonathan. The squad isn't deep enough for a full run in the championship as it stands. We need these loan players for high quality depth. Okay, I tag me in for this one, Chris, as they're saying a wrestler. We'll take the Coventry game as the ball point. What was our bench like for that? We had Castagne on the bench. We had Dennis Pratt starting on the bench. We have Mark Albrighton on the bench. We have Ian Acho on the bench. That sounds like star-studded quality to me on the bench. So again, what's this obsession? Do we need to go out and sign Slabhead back? Do we need to poke? I know he's gone West Ham now. You know what I mean? Do we need to sign him these players? Check your history books. I think you'll find that most of our most successful players in recent history have come from French League Twos and Mr. Nowheres like your Fleetwood Backstreets, like Chris just said about Vardy. So don't get obsessed with a big name being a success.
Yeah, and like you said there, to my mind, I'd sooner start one of the youngsters up front than Jamie Vardy at the moment, because Jamie Vardy, to my mind, give him 10 minutes at the end of every game because he does sweet FA in the games now at the moment, to be honest with you.
Well, wasn't it Burton we went 15 minutes with no striker? No one moaned then, did they, when we had no striker on the pitch at all?
And the problem, Jonathan, is I agree. And I agree to a point, because this is what we did going down to League One. We brought loan players in, because if we're not going to stay in this division, we don't want to be buying players that are only good enough for this division. We didn't want to buy a load of League One standard players because they knew the league. Because if we got out, we'd be stuck with those players and they weren't good enough. So, yes, get the loan players in. But what happens when those loan players finish their loans?
Yeah,
is Doyle going to sign for us? No. Well, I'd love them to. But the chances are no.
Yeah. I say we've got. I think he's our best percentage chance at the moment, and that's not a big percentage chance, but you never know.
No, and I don't care when you get a lone player in. Are they really as committed? Because if they don't particularly play well, look at Tete. He came in on loan. Who did he have to impress? Nobody, because he knew at the end of it, if he didn't impress, he'd go back and he's still got a job.
And he's gone somewhere like Galatasaray or Roma, hasn't he? I know that's too drastic in teams, but I just know the kit colours like orangey red, so I know it's one of them he's gone to. And you're right, Chris. The thing is, too many cooks spoil the broth, as they say, don't they? And if you get too many lone players in, because that shows he must have no confidence in the players that are here because he'd rather rely on loanees. And B, let's say Leicester are fourth, Chris, with 3 games to go, and we're 4 points off automatic. What if these loan players go, well, it doesn't matter to me if Leicester get first or second or third because I'm still going to get paid the same. So we're in the playoffs, so I'm going to put my feet up.
Yeah.
Whereas players like Winks, McAteer, etc., will want to get Leicester in automatic to prove they're good enough for when we go up.
Yeah. And Aaron says there, the club turned its back on the system that worked well. In what way did we turn our back on it? Explain that one, Aaron, because you're saying we haven't used our scouting system well in years. The scouting system that we've had is basically the same scouting system that we had under, what's he called? Under Nigel Pearson. The fact that we lost Steve Walsh to Everton. No, was it Steve Walsh we lost to Everton?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
And Everton hated him. Steve Walsh wasn't this magic guy. They said, because what Everton was saying is, well, when we got him, he'd used all his contacts up at Leicester. One man, it's the system, and the system hasn't changed. The fact of the matter is that last season we didn't have anybody doing that job for the whole of the summer break, and that's a hell of a big gap, because the guy was on gardening leave, Martin Glover, because Southampton didn't want to let him go.
Bit of genius by Brendan bringing him in that way, weren't it?
And Brendan, let's be honest with you, I think you said before, he has brought some donkeys in. We're totally in agreement with that. And we've learnt from that. Now I believe we're getting it right. And I think they're getting it right. I put a tweet out the other day and we were linked with somebody on loan. And I actually put a tweet out going, another loan player. We've got to be careful we don't end up like Nottingham Forest, where the queue for the gents at half-time in the players' lounge goes out back onto the pitch because we've got that many players in. It's a case of quality rather than quantity. And if we are not going to use these youngsters, let's just scrap the academy. Let's shut the grade down. Let's go back to Beaver Drive. What's the fucking point of having a great academy like that if we don't play any of these players? Because we ain't going to make a lot of money out of selling these players because we might get, maximum probably of $1 million for them. So it isn't going to be actually that we're making money out of that. So what is the point of us having an academy if we're not going to give these players a chance?
No, exactly, Chris. You're right. In fact, I think there's a lot of team supporters of other teams out there are jealous of the fact that not only are Leicester using their own youth products that they've developed, but they're successful. And Aaron, your opinion is absolutely your own. That's your opinion. Stick by it, mate. Fair dues, right? But this is what I don't get, right? You said that Leicester... I'm really confused, and I'm reading this comment now, and I still don't get what your point is. You're saying Leicester have turned their back on a system that worked. Well, you mentioned the cursed Puel there, right? Let me take you back to that day. So if that's where you're saying that's how we had the system and it's gone wrong, we've turned our back on the Puel system of believing in the youngsters. I believe since maybe even before Puel, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong here, Leicester's niche in the market has been trust a few youngsters, bring them up, like Barnes was in the Champions League days. So that was under Ranieri, so it was even before that. So, let me look at this. Bring through a few of our own, check. We're still doing that, Chris. Signing absolute talent and halves for next to nothing, check. We're doing that. Mavadidi, I know it's 3 games in, but okay, we're going on the basis of what I'm saying. Okay? Selling them for huge profits. Slabhead. Maddison raised one of our own into a £39 million winger to go to Newcastle in Barnes. Chilwell, England captain, moved him on to Chelsea, one of our own. Tell me where it's changed, Aaron. I will gladly hear your point on it, and I understand what you're saying to a degree in certain points of it, but where have we turned our back on it? Because the last time I know, even as far back as the dilly-ding-dilly-dong days, we bring up one of our own, we find absolute Kantes around the world.
Going on to the dilly-dong days, we bought some. That wasn't great years of signing players. We signed some players under dilly-ding-dilly-dong. When you look how many of those players that was brought in under him, because suddenly let's go and spend the money. We've won the Premier League. Let's go and spend the money now. Yeah,
we made some crap signings under O'Neill, one of the best managers in most people's memories as well. He didn't always get it right in the transfer market.
But how many of Dilly Dong players are still here? Not many, if any,
no.
to be honest with you.
I don't think any are, actually.
The two midfielders.
Amarty's gone.
Amarty, well, he lasted longer than most. But, I just think we have to give these youngsters a chance. We really, really do. And look, Leicester fans are going to hate on some players. You're born in Leicester. If you're going to support Leicester, you can only support them on one occasion. If you actually take hatred out on one player, at least one player a season. And we do that at Leicester, and we do that very, very well. And I will go back and say, don't moan about these players when you're only seeing them for 1 and 2 games. Because I've heard Leicester players say, I can't remember the guy's name, that wanker that scored 2 goals against Peterborough on his debut.
Oh, Diamarte.
Everybody, this is wonderful. It's the new Mare. It's fantastic. What a player we've got here. What a load of shit he was. But everybody went mad at him because he scored 2 goals on his debut. I went mad about Musa because he scored 3 against Barcelona, was it, or Real Madrid?
2. He scored 2, yeah.
He scored both the goals, It's now looking like we could be going mad about Daka. So, let's just give these players a chance. You cannot say that Luke Thomas, people have been hating on Luke Thomas. If we hadn't had Luke Thomas the last 2 seasons, we would have been up shit creek because we hadn't got any player that could play in that position. Or if we did move Castagna over, nobody that could fill in on the right, unless you want to put a Marty there. And I don't think many people would have wanted to do that. So we've got to get a mix. Now, see, for one, I would want to keep Daka, but I want to play 2 up front. But Enzo doesn't seem to want to do that. Now, if Enzo keeps winning, playing the way that he wants to do it, who am I to say?
Mate, if he keeps playing and winning the way he's doing, he can put Vestergaard up front the way he's going, and I'd support him. And that's a player that's kind of getting on my nerves with fans a bit. You know me, Chris, hated the guy. Still not really fond of him because of the way he went through January, but I've looked there with bygones for bygones. And one thing I've always stood by, Chris, even with a certain Spanish donkey, I always said, when they're wearing the Leicester team colours, I'll always back them to do well, even if I think they're shit. Vestergaard is, I wouldn't say prove me wrong, but if you told me 18 months ago, Chris, Vestergaard's going to play for Leicester and be a starter, I'd have been dragging you to the nut house. And if by the time we'd arrived there, you told me he's going to play and keep a clean sheet with him, I'd have thrown you in a canal and saved the nut house some room. Yeah. But by God, give me some humble pie, because 3 games into the season, he's doing an okay job. And I'm still seeing people on social media going, oh, well, Vestergaard did this and he's doing this wrong. You talk about, it feels like predominantly the left side gets that one hated abuse. Well, it feels like we haven't got anyone to hate on that side at the moment because we're loving life with Doyle and Mavididi. That, it has to be Vestergaard because he was the donkey last season. Don't get me wrong.
We can't absolve ourselves from that because we took the piss out of Vestergaard ourselves. But that was then, and as I always said, if we went on what players were like when we first brought them in, Iheanacho wouldn't be with us now because he was rubbish when we got him. He never scored any goals. What, do you mean we only gave him 10 minutes a game? No, he should still be scoring a hat-trick every game. Vardy, what do you mean he gave it up and went to Spain to be a rep? No, he should be playing. All these players. So The same with the youngsters. You've just said there, Thomas needed to go out on a loan. Who the fuck would you have played back at left if we sent him out on fucking loan, for God's sake? And I'm not having to get your opinion, Aaron, but I'm just asking you. It's no good saying, well, black is white if you're not giving us a reason. Tell us who you would have put in that position, because we would have been fucked without Luke Thomas.
Yeah.
And what? You weren't probably moaning when he scored that goal against Man United and have the confidence to hold Jamie Vardy to leave it for him.
Yeah. And the thing is now, you probably, ironically, he would be able to go out on loan because we have the depth in them positions, don't we? You know, he's put Doyle out there. We've got JJ. For the time being, we still have Castagna. So, ironically, his career's probably been a little bit flipped.
It's interesting, do you think, that it's Christensen, that could be leaving, and not Thomas?
No, because the Christian thing's rubbish. He's been injured. But Maresca said that in his press conference. He's already stated he was injured. He picked up a knock. He wasn't even asked about him being selected. He actually outright stated that on his own accord.
Sorry, this is Christensen, is it?
Yeah, Christensen's injured.
They are just saying, just to say, again, in everybody's favourite rag, Leicester City start negotiation over transfer after Enzo Maresca comments. And that is about Christensen.
Very strange, being since he said he was injured.
Started negotiations with Serie A side Bologna over a possible transfer for fullback Victor Christensen, according to reports. So,
Yeah, and my mother's postman's cat's up auntie has also said that Daka's going to sign for AC Milan because she drew that name out of her hat.
Yeah.
Reports on Leicestershire Live.
Aaron, I don't want you to think I'm picking on you, mate, but you're the only one that's making comments for us to discuss at the moment. So thank you for making the comments. And honestly, mate, we respect your opinion.
Yeah,
we're
don't.
not necessarily right, but we're the ones that are on the show here, and we are responding to what you're saying. Your opinion is just as important as ours, and your opinion is basically not wrong. No more than ours is wrong or right. It's all about opinions. But I just want to ask Brad's opinion on your comment here, Aaron. And Aaron just say there, it's all good. It's look. If we didn't have these comments, we wouldn't have much of a show, mate. So we really do appreciate it. We don't want everybody in the comments to say, yeah, you're right, every 5 minutes, because we'd have nothing to talk about. Because even me and Brad are starting to agree with each other.
It's scary, Aaron. We need someone to help us.
We said, but at the moment we've not been playing great. But if you can win games when you've not been playing great, do you think we've been playing great or well? Great's maybe a big word, but I thought we've been playing quite good football.
I think we've been playing okay. I think we've definitely got more gears to go through before we fully see what Enzo's all about with how he's going to get us playing. And I do get kind of what he's saying, because you have to remember, Chris, what we're accustomed to is what we class as great football, and the reason I air quote that is because great football is winning games. I've always said I don't care if it's lump it long ball or fancy tiki-taka. If the result at the end of the day has W next to Leicester's name because they've won the game, I'm all for it. But I see what Aaron's saying, because we have come accustomed to very simple maths at Leicester, and that is fast passing plus counter-attacking equals Leicester City success. Premier League, not so much. The FA Cup, probably, if you look back over them games individually, because they're not week in, week out. But you know what I mean? The same drawn success was grown from one particular style of play, and it's still an adjustment. But I think it's been good, because like me and Craig stressed on the point earlier, Chris, was the difference between Brendan's slow build-up play wasn't actually as slow as you think. It was a case of, we want to go forward, we only know to go forward, but we can't pass it back, pass it there. And it was panicked, and it was rushed, and then all of a sudden we tried to do something we couldn't, and that's why we had a horrible season. Whereas under Enzo, it's kind of like, okay, we're Leicester, you don't want us scoring, well, we'll wait. and we'll pass the ball around. We'll keep being patient. Yes, we know that's not what you want to see, but what you want to see and what you get are two different things in life.
What we have to be careful of is that we don't end up sounding like West Ham fans, because they were obviously always known for the beautiful game and, the academy, and they brought, half the England team through. We enjoyed playing the way when we won the Premier League, but people had sussed us out. We need to change. We need to develop.
Exactly.
The 4-4-2 when we won the World Cup does not work now. We have to accept that. Mountain Man there. You see, you were lucky yesterday, and I haven't really seen the highlights, but yeah, there's a couple of glaring, chances that Huddersfield hadn't put over the bar. The chances are that I would tend to say 2/3 of the Championship will probably put those chances over the bar. Let's have that happening this season, and Enzo can look at that and say, for fuck's sake, who was picking that, blah, blah, and get it sorted, because if we go up, 2/3 of the Premier League are not going to put those chances over the bar. And I think that's just the reality that and no disrespect, and we are in the second tier, but we are not playing Premier League teams. We're going to get Michael's comment at the moment, or David's comment at the moment, about strikers up, and we'll do that. And we'll do it straight after I've played this little jingle.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.
The Premier League? That's so last season. It's all about the Championship here on LTID TV.
Now that's what I call football.
You hit the right spot.
It was so last year. Who needs the Premier League? Michael says here, we need a good profile forward. Now, I have to be honest with you. I said, and you will know I said this to you, Brad, that I thought we needed 3 strikers. And the fact that we'd got Vardy is over the hill and is really... He can't just bring him on for 10, 15 minutes to frustrate the opposition when they're knackered. Inacho, to my mind, we've got to keep him, and he's got to be the number 1. Daka, you could argue he's had his chances because he has been playing some full games, and at least Inacho took his chances when he got the full game. But when you look at the website, Mavididi is actually down as a striker. If he's only going to play that one striker up front, I think if, let's say, for example, Vardy's injured and Nacho has to come off, for me, Mavididi may well slot into that position. Because I was watching him, and he was Mahrez-esque in some of those little touches and foot overs and what have you, and what do they call it when you put the ball through the legs? I can't think, but nutmegging. And I'm thinking, like, my God, this could be the new Mahrez. Now, I don't want to put too much pressure on the poor kid's shoulders, but somebody said earlier, and I can't remember who it was, you could see him at a big club. And yes, it may be that he's one of those £80 million players that we go on and sell, but he looks a good prospect. And I think he could fill into that striker group, if you like.
Yeah, he could quite easily. And the thing is as well, and I know we've touched on it quite a lot, but it's worth noting. You look at, again, you look at the goals we've scored this season, and what I have noticed is we're able to find and get ourselves in good areas as a collective unit. Because if you probably freeze frame, I think the second goal against Coventry, about 30 seconds or 20 seconds before the goal, you will notice that we have Pratt on the right, we have Winks on the right of the centre, we had Dewsbury Hall in the in the middle of the centre, and I'm talking edge of their box at this point. So we've got right side of the box, you've got Pratt, right of the semicircle D, whatever you call it, was Winks, middle was Dewsbury Hall, in the box was Iheanacho, on the left hand side was Mavididi, and you had other players behind them getting there. So Leicester this season, right, Chris, how many times have Leicester fans hit the panic button and gone, oh, Vardy's got injured. Oh, well, how are we going to score goals without Vardy on the pitch? You know, even that running in the year we won it. Oh, Vardy got injured. This is where Leicester going to bottle the title. We show us scored the goals. Oh, thank God for that. We were saved. This season, and I'm not just saying this because we haven't had a striker score a goal yet. I'm saying it because if you look at the positions of the players and where they are, they're all hungry to take the chances when they come their way. You know, you could look at all of them and go, I know Pratt missed an absolute sitter, if you will, against, well, like one-on-one chance against Huddersfield, but you have 5 players there, including Ian Axel as the striker, that could score us goals this season. I think for the first time in a long time, Leicester aren't too panicked about where the goals are going to come from. I think that was the biggest panic, not just within the fans, but within the team. It felt like if Vardy isn't firing, we're fucked. Last season, pardon my French, you know, and it was the same as maybe more last season. It was Maddison. Oh God, if Maddison's not going to pick up the weight in midfield, we're absolutely knackered for goals. This season, it's like, whoa, Jules Hall's got 2 goals. Pratt could score a couple. Mavadidi's already got a goal. You know, Marcel looks quick. McAteer, if he gets, you know, we've got 5, 6, 7 players who you think get a decent run in this team and play regularly. The goals are going to be spread out. So I don't think it's the be all and end all. If we have a third striker, I just think for the safety of maybe an injury, Vardy's legs going, you want to have that striker there for obvious reasons. But like Enzo said in his press conference, he's very astute on not giving anything away. He basically said, I want to bring in a couple of numbers. Doesn't every manager? But I'm not going to be able to do that until we lose a couple of players. And that may be where these rumours have circulated. One's a bit daft if about Christensen because he already said he was injured and that's why he's not making the team.
I want to ask you this, and I mean, I've joked about opening the drawer in the manager's office and finding the Brendan Rodgers book of coaching. But Paul, and good evening, Paul, says Enzo is a reincarnation of Rodgers. Now, calm down. Calm down, Brad. Take it easy. Take a chill pill. Calm down now. Calm down. Because what I want to do, I had this prepared one I prepared earlier, and you won't be able to see this probably, so I'm going to read this out for you. I can if I can get the right the right bits of information. But this is just our tactics or our shots on target over the last few games compared to the last few games of Brendan's rule, not including Dean Smith. So not the last 3 games of last season because that wasn't Brendan, but just to compare the two. So under 22-23, manager was obviously Bellend, as we've seen there. Average shots per game were 11.3. Average goals became 1.5. How often post-games was I shouting and going absolutely epileptic about the fact that we hadn't had any shots on target or we'd only had 3 shots on goal? Now, fast forward to this season, Enzo's in charge. Average shots per game, 16.67. We had 20 in one game against Coventry, 13 against Burton, 17 against Huddersfield. Okay, the average goals hasn't jumped up a lot, but it's still almost, a half a goal a game. But look, to my mind, if we are getting that many shots in, we're going to be scoring the goals. So I don't think that Enzo is a reincarnation of Rodgers.
I'm going to keep this as one of the shortest answers in my history, apart from when I'm forced to use one word by you, Chris. Paul, Paul, you're entitled to an opinion. That's all I'm saying. Move on, Chris, because you don't want me going off on one. Because we respect your opinion, and you're entitled to it. If that's what you think about Enzo, that is your opinion. Moving on before I say something, they'll get both of us in trouble.
Your opinion is wrong.
There we go, maybe.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Moving on. Next question. Love you, James. Love you, mate.
It's all about opinions. It's all about opinions.
Oh, you've frozen my end.
Okay, look. Moving. Look,
Sorry.
I think we can all agree on this. Man of the match, Mr. Faze. I think Alan said that. Craig said it earlier. I didn't mention it. He did say that. And somebody said earlier that, well, he said he didn't want to play in the Championship and he wanted to leave. And I think we said that was the Belgian manager having a word in his ear.
It's lazy crap journalism, mate.
But do you not think if you are playing well in this division, which is to my mind, I've said this so many times, is the sixth, for my opinion, the sixth best league in Europe, once you get past the so-called Big Five, and you could argue that it's probably better than a couple of those. Hurricane, Bundesliga. No, but you know what I'm saying? It's at least the sixth best in Europe. And if you're playing well in there, you're telling me you're not going to get into the Belgian squad?
I don't know. Maybe ask the England managers how they pick their players, because it might be the same in Belgium then. Because, I've already had my temper tantrum about the Belgian manager. I've already called him all the names under the sun because I think it's absolutely disgusting that any international manager has the broad cheek to basically say, "I'm not going to pick you if you don't play for my favourite league in the favourite division." It's ridiculous. You pick a player based on talent.
Ridiculous, is it?
It is. It's Harry Potter. It's ridiculous, mate. It's ridiculous. But no, and this is what winds me up about how lazy our journalists team seems to be, right? Because they must have shorter memories than Dory from Finding Nemo, right? Because
Walt Disney films comes out.
Oh yes, we do. But didn't Enzo basically come out in under no certain terms say if they want to leave they can, but they won't get in the team? Because if Wild Face wanted to leave, he wouldn't be getting picked, would he? And if Iheanacho was going out the door, he wouldn't have started him in the game. So where's all these? I mean, do they not listen? Are they that stupid that they don't bother to do their own research? It's almost like that Premier League Twitter that outraged people when they forgot to include Leicester in their League of Wall of Champions. Well, I don't know. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
Oh well, but yeah,
that was retweeted by every single Leicester. I think I retweeted it. Didn't I?
They took it down now because of the outrage.
I indeed. Yeah, I managed to get the original one, I think, but Aaron again. He says, "I feel like Templars shots against Huddersfield came from outside the 18-yard box. Look, where was our FA Cup winning goal scored from?
Where was Claridge's promotion goal scored from?
Yes, yeah. But look, 69, and I know possession, and I know you're not a huge stat lover, unless it's of the, 32, 23, 32 variety. Look, there, 17 shots, 6 on target. We went through some games in the Premier League, like I say, hardly having many shots at all, but sometimes I'm sure we went 2 or 3 games on the run without a shot on target, didn't we? Wasn't it 3 games we went on a run?
Something like that. It was one of them ridiculous stats where we'll measure anything apart from the correct way. Instead of saying it was 3 games, it was 72 hours of football or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, we did. And I think when we did have a shot on target, in fact, I remember a few games last season and maybe even the season before where I maybe had to have the commentary on Leicester radio, and even Taggart ended up saying, "Why is it taking us to the 89th minute of our first shot on goal?" And that is exactly what it is. I would rather see them stats than last season, because last season, Chris, you're saying 6 on target out of 17. Look, at the end of the day, we had 6, they had 3, we scored 1, they scored none. So, we won the game, so I don't really give a rat's arse. But also, we were lucky sometimes last season. We had 6 shots all game.
Exactly my thought.
Yeah. So if any of you out there maybe are under the opinion that Enzo is a reincarnation of Brendan, just be thankful we're seeing the ball being shot at instead of not.
Aaron says, and I think we're going to agree with you on this one, Aaron. I think once Cody is back, it will bring a lot of new leadership across the back line and communication. I agree. Right, I'm going to quickly, because we've been going 1 hour, 40 minutes. My God, where does time fly when you're enjoying yourself? I'm just going to go through briefly. I'm not going to ask your votes because you've not watched the game, so it would be unfair of you. We're just going to read what oh God,
my best mate said Blackwell.
Jordan, thank you for the clue there. But here's how he has scored and what he said about the players. So I won't ask your opinions on it. I'm just going to sort of read them and sort of see if you nod or shake your head. Jakub Stolczyk, much busier than in the week, but equal to everything thrown at him. The pole parried away the efforts that required a save, while he was confident with the short passes into teammates' feet too. Good stuff, and he got a 7. 7. Ricardo, he played the pass of the match, slicing apart the Huddersfield back line to set up perhaps big first half chance, and was calm under pressure throughout, getting City out of a few tricky situations with a cool head and tight ball control. 7.
Okay, so far so good, Jason. You're learning.
Well, you've got the Brad Perkins book of how to hate players. You've been on board.
Yeah, that I do.
That phase, there were a few unorthodox clearances, but otherwise he was excellent. He carried the ball forward with confidence, passed it well, used his strength to shut down attacks, and put in a few crunching, well-timed tackles too. 8 out of 10. And I think
9.
Yeah.
9. I'm sorry. He is our centre. He's our centre back midfield lone striker. He's playing 3 positions for Enzo, and he did them all brilliantly. I just want to be. I just want to argue. I wanted to argue with him once, and there it is. I give him man of the match 9. Jordan, be strong, Jordan. You've got to give your man of the match a 9. Don't sit on the fence with your pretty 8s. Come on.
I don't know whether I haven't seen. I don't know what his other result marks are coming up. As I'm scrolling as we talk, so I don't know whether there's a 9 coming up. Craig gave him man of the match. More importantly, no disrespect to Craig, but he was got the LTID man of the match. So.
There you go.
Yannick Vestergaard, he dangled a lazy leg to get himself a booking in the first half, but otherwise he stood up. He stood up the Huddersfield attack as well in one-on-ones, getting blocks and tackles in, while his positioning to clear crosses was solid too. And he got a 7. I think he should quit now while he's ahead.
Yeah, he really should. Really should. Bloody hell.
Okay. Callum Doyle. You can see he's a true Marquesa player in the way he uses the ball and how he gets out of tight spaces. He was solid defensively for the most part too, although he didn't get tight enough to ward on one cross early in the second half. But he still got a 7. I think that's his favourite score today. Harry Winks, nowhere near as involved as in the previous 2 games, which was perhaps why City did not have as much control. Everything he did do was tidy, but he wasn't the influential heart of the team Marquesca wants him to be. 6. Bit harsh, but I didn't see the game, so I can't really argue.
Yeah, I can't really berate him for that. No. I'll go back in time and watch it, and then I'll come back and berate him.
Yes. Yuri Tillemans, oh sorry, he played for a team that lost 5-1 yesterday, didn't he? Dennis Pratt. He wasn't involved at all early on, but his runs beyond the striker were a big bonus for City. It's just a shame that his finishing let him down. For his huge first half chance, he really should have shown more composure. 6. Again, I think if he's allowed to play games more often, that composure will come.
Yeah, of course it's going to. And he scored some wonderful goals when he's had that time in there. And yes, disappointed he didn't take it. Obviously, I'm sure he is, but I'd be more expecting him to miss it than I would say Vardy and Nacho Daka. It's not really his response. I know he's trying to get in them positions. It's fantastic that he's getting in them positions to do it. And obviously, he would have been disappointed himself that he didn't do it. But it's not like he dragged it 10 yards wide. The keeper did have to make a save, so. Be a bit nicer to him. Come on, Jordan. I taught you. Be kind, rewind. Come on.
Kieran Dewsbury Hall, like Winks, he wasn't involved as Marquesca would have liked, and he got a 6. Now, and this is what we're going to call him now. Wanya, which is his first. If we can call Ricardo Piero Ricardo, we can call Wanya Marcal Malvidaduva Wanya. Some of his dribbles forward were electrifying, and it's clear he's got the quick feet to cause defenders problems. But there's too many times where he chops inside, didn't come off, or where he got the ball caught under his feet. I mean, the big opportunities went to waste. He'll learn, though, and that's the thing. As you were saying, Aaron, maybe it wasn't coming off for him, but he will learn, and he got a 6. Coletti Nacho, his hold-up play was a big boost. He got a 6. Oh, Malvidini got a 6.
Gerald and Jordan, it was going so well.
It was. He showed off silky skills in tight areas, but wasn't really a threat in the final third until his goal, with most of his crosses hit long. However, he struck low enough and hard enough to beat Nichols and get the 3 points.
So he scores the decisive goals. He does well with the ball at his feet, but just because he wasn't involved in every second of every minute of our attacking play, you give him a 6. Jordan, you're doing so well, then you got to the forwards. Oh, well, he'll learn one day.
Indeed, he got 5. Vardy got 6 coming on. Albrighton and Chowdhury were on long enough. So, a bit harsh on some of them. But like I say, he was there for the full game. I wasn't. Nobody got a 9. But he did get the biggest score, in fairness to FaZe.
Still should have been a 9. He'll learn one day. You give a 9 to your man of the matches, Jordan. Rule 1 of Ratings Club. We give 9 to man of the match. Second rule about Ratings Club is we don't talk about Ratings Club.
You listen to Uncle Brad. We'll be back straight after this. Indeed. Just to let everybody know, there is a huge change next week. Well, I say huge, it's not massive. And the fact that we are changing the times of our main shows. We will. It seems like we've come all the way in circle because we started off when we started doing this at 7. Then we went to 9. Then this season I was going to do it at 8, but because of my early morning duties, we're going to be going back to 7 o'clock. Gives me a chance to
7.
7, yeah, exactly, and get some sort of sleep. So all the shows as of next week, 7 o'clock, ladies and gentlefolk, is when we will be going live. Unless, of course, they obviously are watch-alongs, and that would depend on the kickoff time. There you go, Brad. How does it look?
Sitting pretty, mate. 2 games in, 2 points clear of the playoff zones. Only Ipswich on goal difference ahead of us. Happy days, mate. Happy days.
Happy, talky, happy talk.
And if Ipswich can draw next week and we can beat Cardiff, we can start opening up the gap. And
fair play to Ipswich. A lot of pundits did have them out of the 3 coming up, that the ones that were going to do well.
Well, I won't give anything away, not too much here, but maybe those of you that are interested in a certain prediction league to see how these big egos are getting deflated, say Ipswich was a result and a few others were stumbling blocks. Let's just say there's a lot of people's points that I could only count on one hand, and I didn't need all the fingers and thumbs for them either. I'm not saying who, I'm not saying how many, I'm just saying Ipswich, along with a few others, causing a stir. Early days.
In fairness, taking myself out of this hole that I think you're pushing me into, I had forgotten about the prediction league. And I did do it just like, okay, that's a 1-1, that's a 2-1, that's a 3-1. So I did rush through them, so I'm not expecting good results this tonight. Brad, thank you very much, young man, as always, for coming in. This was an extra show, basically because we weren't able to do the watch-along.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, that's why. But who knows? If you like it, we might reintroduce it. We'll see how things go. But at the moment, unless we don't do another watch along, it'll be back to going straight after the match itself, which will be next Saturday. Another 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock kickoffs on the run. What the hell? I know.
If we go back in time to the 90s, back at a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, what's going on with the world?
We have gone back in time a little bit, haven't we? But
yeah.
Brad, thank you so very much, mate. And tomorrow, 7 o'clock, we will be doing the debate show. So, guys, there's a lot of guys that are Mountain Man, Aaron. Thank you very much for all your comments, Aaron, and taking it on the chin. We love it. That's what we want. We don't want people to agree with us. It is opinions, and we're not having a go at you. We respect your opinion totally. But for those questions that we haven't got to, why not come into the chat tomorrow, 7 o'clock for the Let's Talk Leicester, the banter show. It'll be me, the youngster on the other side of the chat here, and
I'm looking for this youngster.
The good-looking one, and that is Kate, of course.
Well, I thought he was going to say David. I was like, that's insulting.
Unfortunately, Dave won't be with us for a while. He has come down. He has caught something. I told him not to go to Amsterdam, but you know what it's like. He has. No, it isn't. It isn't actually. We wish him all the best. Let me just say that.
Safe recovery to him.
Yeah, it's not for me to say, but I hope you feel better, Dave. And he just doesn't want to come on camera, which I understand. Thanks very much, mate. I will see you in the morrow. Yeah. Do you need me to stay behind, or can I jet off? You go off and have a fag and a pee and a wee and a drink and whatever else you do. Well, probably strange enough, you've got the order very weirdly right. But that shows how much we work together, mate. That's scary. Yes, and I can tell you what. I can tell you what the next one is, but I'm not going to. I'll leave you to do that. Yeah. See you later, everybody. Yeah, cheers, buddy. Bye-bye. Bye. I can't get rid of you. Wait there. My mouse isn't working. There we go. Well done to that man. Well done. I couldn't do it. My mouse has decided to stop working. What's wrong with it? There we go. Finally, I've got it back. There we go. Here we go. Made myself that. There we go. So we'll be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock. It's for the debate show. Let's Talk Leicester. Thanks to everybody that's been in the chat. The Arizona Massive was great to have you both in. Get together, guys. Have a drive. Mind you, I've said that in Arizona. Arizona itself is probably about the size of the United Kingdom. It's a bit like saying to somebody in Newcastle, get together a guy in Plymouth and have a drink. So I don't know how close you actually are. But thanks, Mountain, as well. Aaron, as I say, mate, thanks very, very much. We really, really do appreciate your thoughts. And please don't agree with us. That's what creates the debate. And we respect everybody's opinion. And we're never going to agree. That's football for you. But we will be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock. If you are new and you've enjoyed it, please do subscribe. And please smash those likes, guys. It seriously does help the channel. 100%. But I've been Chris. This has been LTID TV. And this is Arnie. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.